Hi, and welcome. You're listening to the X22 Report. My name is Dave, and this is episode 1598A, and today's date is June 22nd, 2018, and the title of the episode is The Central Banks Unleash, and so does Trump. It's gonna get a lot worse. Let's get into the economic collapse financial news. Now, as we can see, gold is being suppressed. The market has been falling. Today, it's up a little bit. And cryptocurrencies have been pushed down, suppressed. And this is all part of the central bank's plan. You need to remember the central bank is very worried about other currency systems. They don't want any of them to go up against what they have because they can maintain control if everyone uses and the government support their currency system. This is how they're in existence. If there's any other currency that's coming out, or if there's gold and silver or anything else that might challenge their position, they demonize it, they suppress it, they manipulate it, they do whatever they possibly can to control it. Think what they've done in the precious metals market. Look what they're doing now with the cryptocurrencies. And we can see right now that the Federal Reserve Bank of St. Louis, they added the cryptocurrency to their Federal Reserve Economic Data. That's the FRED database. And we can see that they added Bitcoin, they added Ethereum, they added Bitcoin Cash, they added Litecoin. And the reason why they're doing this is because they're doing the same thing they did with gold, the same thing they did with silver. They want control over it. And if they add it to this, guess what? They're going to say it's not a currency. That's why it's added to here. And we're going to control it. Don't worry about it. We'll stabilize it. And the people won't give it, two thoughts. They'll just think it's another investment vehicle. And they won't even think that this could be a currency system. And they've done this with gold. They've done it with silver. That's why a lot of Americans today do not own gold and silver. Actually, the rest of the world owns a lot of gold and silver. But the central banks, their job is to convince everyone that their currency is the only currency. And this is all you need to use, and you'll be enslaved to them for the rest of your life. That's what they've been doing all along. And if you want to learn more about cryptocurrencies, how to move in and out of them, how to basically trade it, or if you're in the beginning stages, you just want to learn about it, well, just go to the X22reportschool.com. It will bring you to Remain Calm, which is the crypto school, and you can read all about it. You can look at one part, which is the school, and you can join up to the school, or you can look at the traders in the trading room, and this is where they do all the research. They do everything for you. You're in the room, you see what they're doing, and you can copy their trade. So you can go to either place or both if you'd like. It's x22reportschool.com, and this will basically educate you and hopefully make you money at the same time. Now, here in the United States, we're seeing the entire system breaking down all at the same time. And we're seeing both sides, the central bank, and we are seeing Trump and the Patriots pushing to control the narrative. The central bank is doing the same exact thing. And we see here in the United States, and not just here in the United States, but around the world, the economy is starting to break apart. We see manufacturing. Well, PMI has plunged to 7-month lows. Orders are tumbling. We saw yesterday the Philly Fed has declined. And what we're seeing right now is this fake push that was pushing everything up is coming to an end right now. And we're seeing surging prices. We're seeing the orders get crushed. Production is continuing, which is kind of crazy. That's not going to be a recipe for success. That's going to be a recipe for disaster. We see that Trump is threatening 20% tariffs on all cars coming to the U.S. from Europe. And when you really look at this, you can see why he is doing this and why he's pushing these tariffs. Now, is this going to help the situation? Is this going to bring manufacturing back? Is this going to help the economy that we're in today? Most likely not. I think what has been happening all along, and we have to remember the central bank has been in charge, the deep state has been in charge, and they basically shaped the economy the way they wanted it. They removed manufacturing, they had NAFTA, they were going after TPP, they were bringing in illegal immigrants, they destroyed the dollar over time. It lost almost all its value since it was put into place in 1971 when we came off the gold standard. I'm talking about the petrodollar. That is completely destroyed. And right now, what they were doing is they were using this model, their central banking model, to have a centralized system, a globalist system, where all countries would be equal. Why do you think they moved manufacturing and everything out of this country? Because their plan was to destroy the United States, the manufacturing base, and bring it down to the level of all the other countries. And this is why they had the refugees, immigrants flowing into Europe, flowing into the United States, because they were trying to equal everything out. And the reason why you needed the immigrants in the United States, and this is just one part of the agenda, is because when the pay starts to decline, oh wait, the pay is declining right now, but when it really starts to decline, who's going to take the jobs? Well, most Americans are going to sit out there and say, well, I don't want that job. I'm making half. Well, don't worry. We have an illegal immigrant that will be more than happy to take that job. And what would happen going down the line is most Americans would be out of jobs, and they keep bringing in illegal immigrants, and they would take up the jobs. And that would allow them to bring the wages down to the level of other countries. This way they can swap workers back and forth. And when you look at these tariffs that they put in place, well, it didn't benefit the United States. I mean, currently, right now, the U.S. charges 2.5% on car imports. And the EU is charging 10%, China 25%. But China, as of July 1st, is going to be charging 15%. And you can see that this was set up not to benefit the United States whatsoever. And now what Trump is trying to do is equal things out. Now, again, all of this was put into place by the globalists, by the central banks, and this was all done on purpose. And what is being done right now is all of this is being undone. And this is why the corporate media, the central bank, everyone's screaming and yelling that this is going to cause a war. The only thing that will cause a war is the central bank, because once they move to try to destroy the central bank and get rid of it, well, that's when the central bank fights back, because they'd rather have a war than give up control. Bank of America right now is stunned by the panic to buy tech stocks. Now we know that the Swiss, the central bank there, has been purchasing a lot of tech stocks. We know that a lot of other investors have been flooding into the tech stocks. And the last time we saw a panic scramble into tech stocks like this was right before the dot-com bubble. This should tell you something right there. We see right now that another central bank is getting ready to unwind, and this is the Bank of England. So we have the Federal Reserve, we have the Bank of England that's getting ready to unwind. They decided to raise their rates up to 0.75%, and we're starting to see that the ECB, they are now tapering. So all the central banks now are coming together, and they are using the same exact plan where they're going to unwind, raise rates into a fake economy, one that they created and gave the illusion that everything is great. Now, this is all being done on purpose, coordinated, just like they coordinated the stimulus and bringing down interest rates, bringing them down to the negative territory. This was all coordinated back then to pump the system up, to make it look like it was doing great. Now it's a coordinated effort in the opposite direction. Why are they doing this right now? They're doing this right now because they realize they are stuck, and they realize the person they wanted in office, the person that was going to, push this to the edge, is not there, and they were going to use an event to explain away why everything is crashing. They don't have that right now. So they need to do something where they need to blame it on somebody else. They don't have a country, they don't have a group anymore. That's pretty much gone. So they need to blame it on someone's policy. So they started the push right now of unwinding and raising rates because they understand if they do this slowly, it won't look like the central bank is doing this. It will look like it's Trump's policies. Now, on the other hand, Trump and the Patriots, they are doing the same thing. They're pushing tariffs. They're changing things around, getting rid of their trade agreements. And what they're trying to do is push this to the edge to gain the narrative. Now, the IMF is out there, and this is Christine Lagarde. 1 minute she's saying that the European growth is stable. It's going to continue. It's going to be fantastic. Now, the European growth, well, they might have to revise it down. And basically, what is happening is they're blaming it on the Brexit. Of course, it's not going their way. And they're blaming it now on Italy, because Italy is now on the policy of Italy first, breaking away from the European Union. I think that's the end game there, and they know it. And every time the IMF came out and gave a forecast in the past, and if you look at this, you can see they were forecasting, 3-4%. Do you know they were wrong every single time? And if you look at the actual growth, it has declined every single year, and every single year they've told us it was going to increase. Their forecasts are worthless. Let me give you an example. The world GDP growth forecast from 2010 to 2020. If you look, it started at 5.5 at 2010. And they gave a forecast in September of 2011 saying it was going to be around 4.5. Well, it dropped to 4. Went straight down. Then they gave another forecast in October of 2012 saying, well, don't worry, it's going to be 4.4%. Well, the growth was 3.5%. They gave a forecast in October of 2013, and they said, don't worry, it's going to be 4%. And what was it? 3.3%. Then they gave another forecast in 2014 where they're saying it was going to be 3.9%. Well, that came in at 3.3% again. Then they gave another forecast in 2015 saying it was going to be 3.75%. And guess what? It was at 3%. They were wrong every single time. And when you look at the annual growth, it is declining and declining and declining, because you cannot grow globally if you're saturated with debt. It doesn't work. And I see a lot of articles out there, a lot of financial pundits saying that Donald Trump's trade wars could lead to the Great Depression. Yes, they're absolutely right. And it's not for the reasons they think. It's because the only way out of this system right now, you just can't bring all the plants back, the manufacturing. Remember, they spent years and years and years moving everything out of the United States. He can't bring everything back in 2 years or 3 years or 4 years. It just won't work. Why? Because right now, the system can't move anywhere. The inflation that's going to hit is going to be outrageous. The dollar is losing value. There is too much debt. And companies do not have incentives to come back here. Labor is much cheaper elsewhere. And under this central banking system, the only way to get out of it is to destroy it. It's to push it to the edge and have it collapse and control the narrative where you can say it was the central banking economic policies that drove us to this point. And they're going to have to make a case. They're going to have to show proof. They're going to have to do an audit. They're going to have to show all these things to show everyone that, yes, it was the central bank, so they can get rid of the central banking system. And I'm talking about the private Western central banking system, the Rothschild central bank system. And we can see right now that is what this battle is all about. And this is the push. So when people say, yes, he could push us into a depression, the central bank is already pushing us into a depression. But their fingers are pointing someplace else. The depression is already in the cards. The collapse is already in the cards. There's no way around this. And it's going to happen. We're going to make a transition. Now, with the central bank, they don't care how it happens. It can come down hard and fast. They don't care how many people are hurt. It makes no difference. I think what Trump is trying to do is basically soften the fall and make it a little bit easier. Is it going to be easy? No. It's going to be difficult. Many people aren't awake. And those people are going to have trouble. Those people that have been preparing, ensuring their wealth, I think they'll be able to weather the storm. If you look in Russia and you look in other countries, those people that were holding gold, silver, and now cryptocurrencies, they made out. Because what happens when you go through these transition, a lot of the manipulation completely evaporates. And then the true price of these assets are then revealed and everyone realizes, oh my God, I should have been in gold, I should have been in silver, I should have been in cryptocurrencies. But at that point, it's too late. So whatever you're doing, continue to do it. Get prepared, get ready, because we're going through this transition. Listen, everyone, thanks a lot for listening. Be well, be safe, and especially be prepared. Thanks a lot.